Something you hear a lot, a lot, and you'll hear it from the psychology industry, you hear it from the faith community. They have their own version of this. It's the same thinking. It's not really what the Bible teaches, but it's the same thinking. And part of that's because we come from a Western world that has its philosophical roots in, Greek philosophy and a bunch of other stuff, German existentialism, on and on. But here's the phrase, okay? Here's the phrase. Your thinking determines how you feel. Your thinking determines your behavior. All right. So what people will do, and they think that's kind of like, it's almost they turn into almost an anthropological, like entire, I don't know, Weltanschauung or something. It's like, this is the way it is. Okay. There's a difference between something that's true and something that is all truth. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Fatigue. What if I said fatigue comes from low blood sugar? True or false? Well, that's true, but it's not all truth. Well, that's the issue. And here's why I say that, because a lot of times in the faith world, what you'll hear is people will tell people they're struggling with emotional problems. The truth shall set you free, for example. That's a great example. So you just need to learn the right verses and meditate on these right verses, and that will make you well, right? Well, if you've listened to me or read any of my books, not my business books, because I don't put the verses in my business leadership books, but in my personal growth books, you're not going to go too far in there, or even on this program, where you don't hear me talking about some scriptural teaching or scriptural truth that backs it up. I believe the Bible. I really do. And I think that God has given us these ways to understand and negotiate life. So I am a Bible person. All right. But the Bible itself doesn't say what people say to use it only in the way that they say use it. Just get your thinking right. And that's what Job's friends told him. And then God kind of, got on their case in the end. In fact, that very verse, the truth shall make you free. I always hear people that say that, for somebody to be able to get over depression or whatever. I always say, tell me what it says right before that. And they never know. By and large, they never know the passage that leads in the verse, the sentence that leads into that sentence. And what the sentence is this. Jesus said, if you hold to my teachings, if you walk in my ways, you look at different translations, translated different ways. Basically, if you do what I say, then you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. All right. So what does that say? Well, changing our thinking is going to affect a lot of things. And the scriptures say that. Proverbs says, as a person thinketh in his heart, so is he. Notice it doesn't say in your head, it says in your heart, which is part of what I'm talking about. Romans 12 says, by the transforming of your mind. A bunch of other good stuff is going to happen. So I believe in that. But here's the problem. You are a heart, a mind, a soul, and a bunch of strength. There's an organism here with energy and passion and all of that. And what the Bible and science will tell us is that thinking is one part of the picture, a very important part of the picture. All of psychology has proven this with evidence-based treatment, that thinking, cognitive therapy for depression, for anxiety, very, very powerful, right? Very, very powerful, and very, very, evidence-based, research proven, works in so many ways in so many instances. But here's the deal. When you take part of us is thinking, the other part of us is rooted in not head stuff, but heart stuff. Heart stuff, H-E-A-R-T, heart stuff, which gets into things like your sense of connection, your sense of attachment or unattachment, okay? Your sense of isolation, your sense of disconnectedness, your sense of aloneness, your sense of hopelessness. So part of it's how we're thinking, but we can try to overcome our thinking in certain ways from an isolated place. And when the whole organism is designed, you take a baby, and if they're not connected, you can say all sorts of truths to them. If they're not connected, they're not going to do well. And what we know about people later that have early attachment problems is they think in different ways. So your relationships can affect your thinking as well. Your thinking affects your relationships. And here's another one. Thinking affects your behaviors. Also, here's what research shows. Your behaviors can affect your thinking. So, for example, sometimes if people, let's say they're overcoming an anxiety disorder, okay? You can tell them, they're freaked out thinking this plane's going to crash, this plane's going to crash, this plane's going to crash, I'm not getting on the plane. Well, you get them to behave differently and get on the plane and get on the plane and get on the plane and get on the plane. The behavior actually begins to change their thinking, and their brain begins to change because of what they've done. Their actions change. I'll give you another simple one you're not going to believe. Smiling has been shown in research to change people's mood. What? Yeah, it does. Not all the time, not in every instance. Why? Because we're fearfully and wonderfully made, as the Bible says. See, that's the thing. These simplistic formulas, don't buy them. Use them. If you have low energy, yeah, try to keep your blood sugar level and it might fix it. But if you still have low energy, here's my message today. Don't lose hope. It could be your thyroid. It could be your sleep patterns. It could be other nutritional things. It could be depression, your serotonin levels. That's what's so great if you don't live in a tunnel. Because some of you, I am afraid, have been captured by people that give you one answer and their answer is right. Well, generally those people aren't in the practice of treating a gazillion people. See, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But if you got a whole toolbox, you can do a lot. So as you are growing in these areas, what I'm committed to on this show is we want to take a holistic view of faith and science, psychology, all of this stuff. And what I'm committed to you always, is I'm going to try my best in this little field that I hang out in to give you as much of the whole banana and not come at it from a tunnel vision view. So here's what I want you to work on your thinking, because it will change how you feel. It will change how you behave. And I want you to work on the things like your relationships and your losses and grieving and other things and your behaviors that create more attachments versus less attachments, because those will end up changing your thinking and you won't have to be as hopeless and scared and all that stuff as well. Point is, don't get stuck in one little formula. Okay, let's learn. Let's be informed.